Hello everyone, today we are going to solve this mix of coordinate geometry, permutations, combinations and geometry question. It's definitely a difficult question. However, nothing in this question is out of scope. As you can see, once you analyze what is being asked, the solution to the question is very simple. In my video today, I'm going to quickly talk about where people often go wrong, but I will not go into too much details because you will see those details when I'm solving the question the right way. Second, we are going to analyze the problem. The analysis of the problem is important to understand if the arrangements are important or not, and what are we actually trying to do in this problem. And finally, I will give you 3 methods to solve this problem. Before we jump into the question, if you like this video, please press like and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions on the video, please put it in the comment box. I personally respond to every comment. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so first let's talk about the wrong way of doing these things and some of the common mistakes people make. One of the mistakes that people make is actually taking this 3 into consideration, even though it is given that x is less than 3, not equal to 3. Taking this 3 in your calculations actually results in wrong calculations because you end up with more ways than needed. Second is how people interpret this x multiplied by y is not equal to 0. They consider that x and y together cannot be 0, but individually it can be 0, which results in wasting of time because you have to take cases where x is 0 and y is not 0. X multiplied by y is not equal to 0. In this case, if you analyze it clearly, would mean that neither x nor y can be 0. Second category of mistakes is the wrong approaches to solve this question. If you solve this question without analyzing it properly, you would end up using combinations or selections to solve this problem, or you would try to solve it with possible values of x multiplied by possible values of y, which would not yield any of the answer choices, and they would mark E as the answer. Both of these methods would be wrong because arrangement does matter here. And let's see how, by analyzing the question and what the question is asking and what it means next. So there are 3 key information given in this question, and I'm going to write it down step by step. First are the possible values of x and y, and we are given that neither x nor y can be 0. So let's write that down quickly. So as you can see, I have written down there are 5 possible values of x because x cannot be 0, and it is given that x and y, the coordinates are integers, and there are 6 possible values for y. Again, y cannot be 0. One of the mistakes people make is taking this 3 also as a possible value of x, which results in x being 6 possible values and a mistake in calculations. So we have already avoided that mistake. Second key information is that in the rectangle ABCD, AB is parallel to y-axis. Since AB is parallel to y-axis, you have A and B parallel to y-axis. Now there are 2 rectangles possible with A and B, this one and this one, sorry. And since there are 2 rectangles possible, you know that arrangement will matter. So finally, it's about having the coordinates of the points. So coordinate of x, let's call that xa and ya. What that means is we already know the coordinate y of d because it will be same as a. However, x of d will be different. So that needs to be determined. Similarly for b, the x coordinate will be same as the a and the y coordinate will be its own. And what can we say about c? If we have determined each of these coordinates, which is xa, yb and xd, then we have already figured out c based on the properties of rectangle. This would be simply x coordinate of d comma y coordinate of b, which is known. So there would only be one way of finding c as a result. So C is kind of fixed. So this problem boils down to finding XA and XD and YA and YB. Once we have figured this out, we can construct our rectangle. And since the coordinates are important, if my A were somewhere here instead of here, A, B, C, D, this rectangle would be different than the rectangle that I have drawn, even though it is the same shape and has the same coordinates of the vertices, because the rectangle would look flipped. That is why arrangement again matters. So let's jump into the right method to solve these questions. The first right method is simply permutations. In the permutations method, we will take from 5 values of x 2 values of y, giving us 20 ways of finding y, xa and xb. Similarly, finding out of 6 2 y values, which will be done in 6p2 ways, and a multiplication of them will give me the total number of ways, which will be 600. That is my answer number D. Now, why am I using permutations instead of combinations? I'm using permutations again because arrangement of these x and y matters. Even though we have the same coordinates for the rectangle, where a lie and what the coordinates of a matter. In this case, coordinates of a becomes xd and ya rather than xa and ya, and hence it will be a different rectangle. Now let's talk about method number 2. So in method number 2, we are going to use simple counting. We know that the first point we have to figure out is point A. Since there is a grid of 30 possible values of x and y, which is 5 multiplied by 6, I can find or fix A in 5 multiplied by 6 equal to 30 ways. Now I have fixed A. Now my point D will be parallel to x-axis. So on D, I have to find a value of x which is different than the value of the x coordinate of A. How many ways can I find the x coordinate of D? There are 5 values of x, out of which one value I have already fixed for A. So the remaining values are 4. So 4 ways. Similarly, I have to find the y coordinate of B. And since there are 6 possible values of y and I've already fixed one value with whatever ya is, I have 5 other possible values of B, which gives me total of 30 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 5, which is also 600. And finally, we have the combination and selection way of doing things. It is not very different from simple counting way of doing things. However, it may help you understand the combination and selection approaches a little bit better to apply in other problems. So let's talk about that. So first thing we have to do is find xa, right? So xa can be found in 5c1 ways. Then we have to find xd, which can be found in the remaining 4c1 ways. Then we have to find ya, which can be found in 6c1 ways. And finally, since there are only 5 values of y possibly left, we have to find yb, which can be found in 5c1 ways. This will give you 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 5 again, which is again equal to 600. As you can see, once you have analyzed the problem and thought through it a little bit, that might take time in the exam. The approach to actually solving the problem is very easy if you follow it step by step and think through the problem. The multiplication and the calculation of the problem was also fairly straightforward, and the answer to this question is D, 600. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any comments or questions regarding this approach, please feel free to put it in the comments box. As I said earlier, I personally respond to each and every comment. Thank you so much. All the best with your prep.